guests and visitors tonight. We are welcoming all of you to our conference. The topic tonight is the continuing menace and existential threat to women and girls from the rape pandemic in Nigeria. Our guest tonight is one Mojirayo Ogunlana-Nkanga of the Center for Impact Advocacy, CIA, Emmanuel Onyemaechi Ogbunwezeh, Director of African Department, International Society for Human Rights, Frankfurt and Main, Germany. He is not yet to join, Ariyo-Dare Atoye of Adopt Ego AAG, and Barrister Mrs. Anene Chikodili of the Managing Partner, Jomel Consult Solicitors. We look forward that the other two gentlemen and lady will join us, and I will let you know once they join. We have here already Franklin Emmanuel and Mojirayo. If I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, I apologize profusely. What I'll do now is to allow you to introduce yourself. Let's start from Moji, please. She already allowed me to address her as Moji. So please, Moji, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Thank you very much. My name is Mojirayo Ogunlana-Nkanga. Yes, I'm a legal practitioner in Abuja. I am a co-founder of Center for Impact Advocacy, and I'm also presently the PRO of the FIDA Abuja branch, and FIDA is the International Federation of Women Lawyers. So that's just basically the profile I can give. Let me just be limited that way, it's better.
Thank you very much. Franklin?
Well, you introduced me rightly. I am Onyemaechi. Franklin is just the English addition to that. I know. I prefer my African name because I'm a true son of the continent. I direct the African department at the International Society for Human Rights here in Frankfurt, Germany. That's all you need to know. I'm a lawyer as well, and I'm an economist as well. So these areas are cut across the job I do across the African continent and most of the world.
Right. Thank you very much. Let me say right away that what inspired this conference tonight is a press statement from two civil society groups that Moji is involved with. We published that press statement on 10th of August this month, and they wrote about the menace of rape rituals. So since Moji is involved with that report, let's ask her to tell us first of all, because many people, in fact, Emmanuel, when I sent this topic to him, he said, wow, rape rituals. Which one is rape rituals again? So Moji, can you enlighten us on that subject?
Yes, thank you very much. So, I think a lot of people have not averted their minds to the fact that the issue of this rape is not as, how will I put it? It's endemic, but it's not as endemic as in the local societies where people, a lot of women and girls are not educated and are not exposed. And if you really look at it, it's just a few people who are on the internet. To get data is really limited. So, if people in the villages could really have that opportunity to tell their stories, we would be able to see another aspect of rape that is not frequently talked about. And so, recently we've noticed that there have been issues of rape. Of course, people do not really look at that angle. They just look at the fact that somebody tried to use a girl or a woman for rituals. And at the end of the day, we started doing a lot of research, and we found out that some people have gotten reports from traditionalists, or should I say herbalists, the diabolic sect, and they tell them that, to get rich, or to be able to move forward and to prosper in your business and all, you need to have a virgin, sleep with a virgin, and then you get, they tell them these several kinds of things. And then by the time we start having reports like that, and then we saw that this was another side that people were not concentrating on, that a lot of traditional and local communities have been committing this rape, even though you don't see a lot of statistics, a lot of reports, but they do it, and the purpose is usually for this ritual that they have, you know, these practitioners have tagged it to be. And then at the end, and also we by the time we started looking, and there was even a video that trended for a while about one herbalist that was caught in the north, and they had to the mobile police held him and told him the girl was already unconscious, and told him to do some traditional practices to get the girl back to life. And when I looked at that, I saw this, not only with this girl be going through, even if he hadn't slept with her or used any part of her body, she had gone through psychological, how will I put it, trauma. And so we then decided that, okay, we are going to be concentrating on this particular part, and we are going to do our own part as Nigerian citizens to educate more of women and girls and men, especially the men, the custodians of this culture, this traditional medicine. We're going to go there and try our best to sensitize them and let them be partners with us in fighting this issue of rape. And then, of course, you know that in law generally, it's not even recognized. Juju is not recognized under English law, not even recognized. Maybe even in, I've not heard of it being recognized even in customary law when you go to court. But, you know, so we need to be sincere and frank about it. Are these practitioners, are they real? Do they do this? Yes, they do this. Okay, maybe not recognized in law as it is, but it is a problem if you are telling people to go ahead and sleep with all these young girls for whatever reasons. And then, of course, some cases are also strange, like the issue of Barakat in Ibadan, who was raped and left dead under her father's car. You know, those kind of cases, you know, it's strange, but of course, it's not totally strange to people who have had, you know, some interactions in the local community to know that this thing exists. And that was why we decided to release that press statement, to sensitize the public, to let them know that this type of rape is something we should watch out for, because it's in a cultural form. And so it's no longer the one that you see maybe a boy or a man was feeling like, oh, let me just have sex and then rape somebody. Now this one is now somebody telling you, go and do this so that you can get this. And so and then of course, I know we've heard of strange circumstances where you see a father sleeping with his underage child. A father, we've had several reports like that of a 2 months old by the father. And so it's absurd. And then, of course, it cannot be too far away from this mindset that you want to get rich, or you want to prosper, or you want for a cleansing, spiritual cleansing, or something like that. So that's why we are going through this angle in fighting rape in Nigeria.
We thank you very much, for setting this off with this background you have given us. Now, Franklin, what's your take on what Moji has said, and also what's your take about rape generally from your line of work?
Well, thank you, Daniel. I really wish to commend my sister Moji for the efforts that she and her organization have put in to sensitize us about this dimension, this new dimension of the whole problematic in Nigeria. I have never heard about rape for rituals. What we dealt with in South Africa a few years ago was the fact that a lot of men were convinced by traditional healers that if they slept with a virgin, that they would get cured of their HIV/AIDS. And that was what we tried to campaign against, and we succeeded to a great extent. But this one is turning out in Nigeria to be the in thing now. Well, it's shocking, but it's not. I'm not surprised, because this belongs to the repertoire of issues you get in a society. Economically poor, is still steeped in medieval superstition, where people think that there is something like money rituals, that you could just go to a backyard and the man will just concoct a ritual for you and you'll make you rich. Money is an economic store of value. Money is created by government. Without government, there is nothing like money. So there has to be a social system so that there is some supernatural thing that will make you rich. It's a kind of a mindset that our people, that shows that we are still far behind in terms of psychological and sociological evolution in Nigeria. Rape is one of the worst crimes one could commit against any human individual, because this is the most intimate crime you could commit. This is a violence against the dignity of the human person, of this person that you are raping. We have seen rape is pan-humanic. In the history of humanity, every society, there has been issues of rape. In fact, many great religions started with the issue of a god raping a woman and then asking her to be a handmaid and all the rest of them. So we could see that in literature, we could see that in history. So even in the pantheon of the Greek gods, the god Zeus was a rapacious god, and that the Greeks thought that he was just as a he flirts like every other normal human person would. So we could see that this has been has very deep echoes in patriarchal societies, and we know many of the societies we know in Africa, in Asia, even in Europe. The Europeans got rid of that kind of mindset in the 1960s when we had the sexual revolution. Even still, women are still treated as second-class citizens. Women are still treated as objects by the men. Women are still treated as nothing. So this is the where our education really needs to respond to the issues of our times, in trying to situate our women as the center of our societies. And once we are able to do that, we will see that we will start appreciating women for who they are. We will start respecting individual rights. That's what we don't do much in Nigeria. Even in the churches, you could see a priest or a pastor standing up to slap a woman, or a man committing sexual and physical violence on a woman. Policemen beating women on the streets, and it's normal. Even in our schools, we start by corporal punishment, flogging women and flogging girls and children. So this is what has been abrogated in civilized societies, and this is where we start trying to use our fists to solve problems. This creates in us the mindset to treat human individuals as means to ends, as properties, as things that we could use. You don't use human beings, you use things. Human beings are not things. Immanuel Kant, in his philosophy Categorical Imperative, made it even clear. Human beings are not means to any ends. They are ends in themselves. And this is the origin of the fundamental human rights and fundamental freedoms we talk about. So we have to, it must start in the homes. Parents must be able to teach their kids to respect other people. The bodies of other people are sacred. These are the most sacred things that we could ever talk about. So violating the bodies of any human individual is a crime. And many of the victims of rape never outgrow the trauma that this inflicts on their psyche. They'll live with it all through their lives. And who will be anybody who is in a position to inflict such a damage on a human individual? The law and in our society should have adequate remedies for such issues. I don't know what the laws in Nigeria say, because it's been long. I turned away from the Nigerian dimension of it. But generally, rape is a crime that calls down the wrath of heaven, and all hands should be on deck to check that. Even if it is for rituals, anybody found encouraging people to rape is an accessory to a crime, and this person should be, sued for that. And this person should be prosecuted for being an accessory to such crimes. So the issues are very, very deep. We need a radical revolution in our thinking across many African societies, not only in Nigeria. We see that across board. So these are issues we face every day. Women in Nigeria are treated as nothing. We treat them as, every patriarchal society treats women. Women are valuable to them on three levels. Either they are wives, concubines, or prostitutes. That's the way women are owned in these societies. As kids, they are owned as daughters, and their fathers will sell them when they are adolescents in the sham, most times we call marriage, and then sell. It is an all-male transaction. The father gets money for that, and then hands over the kid to the man, and then the man goes on to become a lord and master. And many Nigerian men feel that they are lords and masters of their women. That's why they inflict even violence on these women in their homes. And we see a lot of that happening in America today, where Nigerian men who brought over Nigerian wives end up murdering these women because these women have seen a little bit of light and have resisted such as being treated as footmats. And these men will just wake up one morning and shoot them to death. So we have seen several cases of that. So, but the issues are very, very fundamental. For us to solve this problem, we really need to start in the homes. But unfortunately, many of our homes are broken. The economic pressures are so very, very, very high on Nigerian families. Many men come home, they are frustrated at work, they don't make money, and they take it out on their wives, and the kids are watching. So, and kids brought up in a violent environment end up becoming violent, and they end up treating women like their fathers treated their mothers, as properties, as things to be used. And that is the philosophy, that's the ontology that underwrites rape everywhere. I will stop here so that other contributors could make their contributions. I'm learning a lot. Thank you, Moji, for that wonderful submission. It really opened my eyes to things that we don't know are really the case in Nigeria at this time.
Thank you very much. Ogbunwezeh.
Ogbunwezeh, yeah, that's my name.
Thank you very much. While we, as you were speaking, Barrister Mrs. Anene Chikodili joined the discussion. Mrs. Chiko, well, let me call you Chika. I hope you don't mind. Okay, you can unmute yourself, please. Okay, if you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sure you will
no
not.
problems.
I'm sure you will not mind me calling you Chika. For all of you who know, Chika was my classmate in the university in the law faculty. So
Thank you very much. That's my name. I can answer that. No problems.
Okay, we're happy to have you here. You have listened to. I'm sure you listened to part of what Moji said and part of what.
Exactly.
Frank. So, what do you have to tell us about this topic we are discussing tonight?
Okay, I agree with Franklin that family has a major role to play in this menace, because just like he rightly submitted that if the problem is solved when I'm still at the initial stage, it will go a long way to help the society as large, because the parents need to do much work on their children. The problem here is where you have the setting. You know, before now you have the setting in Nigeria where the mother stays back in the house and looks after the family, does the training and does every follow-up. But now the mother goes away to work, likewise the father, and the home is most time left to be run by nannies or even the little ones trying to help themselves. So the family has a major role to play. The parents their parents also could play a major role. You know, Franklin mentioned the issue of broken homes. That's another problem. But if the training starts from the family, from the grassroots, teaching them that there's dignity, you know, they need to respect a boy, a girl child, and also training the boy to know their responsibility, that there should be respect, vice versa. They will grow up with that, you know, knowledge and that disposition, and they will see a girl child with dignity instead of looking down as a property or as things to be owned or things to be directed or things that not, you know, should not speak out when there is problem, but should always accept situations. So I highly agree with Franklin. Then he said something that for now that he cannot say the position of the law in Nigeria. The position of the law in Nigeria is one of the problems we have that made this to rise on the increase, because it's very difficult to prove in court, very difficult. There is still that issue of strict liability as the Evidence Act requires. You prove beyond reasonable doubt. And in most cases, it's very difficult to do that, because by the time the cases are reported in court, it's either late, and there are times even when the cases are not reported at all because of the fear of how to go about it, the stigmatization after all, when you see yourself in court and all that, you know, there is no particular stage or forum required to handle these cases. Now, the proof is the strict liability. You must prove there is actual penetration before the court can take that. And there's also circumstantial evidence that will come into play. There should be the item that happened in the course of the rape. And also, there's here a medical report. That's where the problem lies mainly. But, okay, fine, there is a review of lately that's now allowed private hospital to also run the test. Before now, it was only general hospitals. And again, you have to submit to the authorities. The prosecutor needs to guide you on, needs to be the one to handle the test. So they give you their fees. If there is no financing, you cannot handle it. So the requirement to prove a rape case in Nigeria is still burdensome, and it's part of the problem that made the menace to, that increased the cases of rape. Because you see somebody that will walk from the scene of the crime into the larger society and walk away free. And if the proof is not done, if the person is not brought to justice, it goes on and goes on. And when the person, the offender, actually know that there is difficult in proving such cases, it wouldn't be so much bothered. So the legal system is part of the problem. The requirement is part of the problem. The procedure is part of the problem. So that's what we are faced in Nigeria here. The law is still not reviewed to the extent of relaxing it to accommodate the vulnerable or the circumstances that surround the rape. It's always the strict liability. And in the strict liability offense, the law requires you in Nigeria that the offender must prove beyond reasonable doubt. Now, let's look at this. That the victim must prove beyond reasonable doubt. Now, let's look at this. The victim is the person that suffered the burns. Most times, the person is traumatized, could not gather the evidence to come up and prove the case. And with that, the matter is thrown out from the court. And the person goes from court more destabilized than ever. So that's the big problem in Nigeria. And it goes on and on like this. That's why it is a real problem that should be on the front line, front burner, to be discussed and proffer solutions for the positions to ameliorate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this brilliant submission. Moji, I don't know whether our next speaker is on now. Are you able to identify him?
I can't see him here.
Right.
I've looked.
Okay.
Yeah, but sorry, Daniel. I wish to make a procedural clarification.
Yes.
The last speaker made mention about the victim being required.
Yes.
To prove the case beyond reasonable doubt. I think that I wouldn't know. When rape is supposed to be a crime, it is the state that is supposed to prosecute. So if the state is supposed to prosecute, the state that we don't need the victim proven, is the state proving its case beyond reasonable doubt. I know that most of our laws and the rules of evidence in this regard is strictly heavily weighed against women and against victims. And this is where we need a little change. We need to change our rules of evidence, because in this era of Me Too movement, we need to see where the rest of the world is. The world is moving, and the way we treat the Nigerian woman should change as well. The Nigerian woman should be the center of our policy in Nigeria. But I am sorry if this is even a forum to criticize the Nigerian government at all levels, because I don't even see any policy. All the fights we've involved in, all the struggles we've done to make sure that child's rights are passed, the women's rights are passed, the women's rights are recognized as fundamental human rights. In Nigeria, we don't see them being applied in our policy and decision-making processes across board, from the federal to the state and even to the local government level. We have not seen that. So, and that's equally the case that you could, on the streets of Nigeria, on the major streets of every city in Nigeria, you could see young girls still hawking to help their families. Why should that be the case? These are children, and we're exposing them to these rapists that see nothing good but to take away the innocence of these little kids. So if these little kids...
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. So if these little kids are to open their mouths and tell you what their experiences are in the hands of people on the streets, you will know that Nigeria doesn't have a future. Because if we rape the future of the little girls, we're out as a society. This is just what I want to say. Some of us can make their contributions.
Sorry, no, I think you're okay. If you wish to pause at this point, but except, have you finished making the submission you are making?
No, I thought that somebody else wanted to say something.
No, I think it was an interruption.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. If everywhere the kids, the women and girl children are abused, it got to the point that we started my organization in Germany, a European organization, is trying to collaborate with the Nigerian organization to see if we could fight rape. Even those little girls were called house helps. These little girls are at the receiving end of the worst atrocities known to man, at the hands of their guardians. These are the people that are supposed to guard and ensure the welfare of these kids. These people abuse these kids emotionally, sexually, physically. We have a variety of cases that will make even a devil himself weep. And we see them across board every day in Nigeria. We talk about the churches. I have always told my Nigerian friends that the day the pedophilia case will arise in the Nigerian churches the way it arose in Europe and America, that the church, it will be ite missa est, like they say in Latin. So these are issues that we have to.
Sorry, Franklin. Anene Philemon, I've been trying to mute you. I don't know why I'm unable to do that. So please, can you mute yourself? Because Anene Philemon, please. All right. Thank you very much, Franklin. Sorry for the interruption that was occurring when you were speaking. Moji, please. You've done a lot of field work in this area, and you've brought up this subject of rape for ritual. So what other disgusting, what have you really discovered concerning, especially with the issue of rape committed against the child, against the children, against the very vulnerable people? What has been your experience in this regard?
Well, basically what we have been able to gather so far, because it's just a research that it's in its inception. So what we have just been gathering so far is that you see where people are telling you to bring to have sex with an underage, have sex with a child, a virgin, or a woman or an elderly woman. You see where people sleep with an 80-year-old, 90-year-old woman, and then they tell them that they can get rich. You see where they tell them that, oh, this problem that you are having is a problem from ancestral issues, and that, oh, for you to come and cleanse, you need to have carnal knowledge, of course, have sleep with a child or sleep with a virgin. And then these are the things that we see on a general level, on the public eye. What people see is that, oh, somebody like Uwa was in a church and she was praying, and then some people came and then raped her and then hit her on the head. Now, when they start telling you some there's cases like that you just see, and you feel that they're just standing on their own. But unfortunately, when you question or you research further, you realize that they believe so much in this traditional system where they can actually give themselves, they feel that they are going to prosper, or they feel that, oh, they are going to be cleansed if they do exactly what native doctor is saying. And then another angle also that we are also looking at is partnering with religious leaders. The issue of abuse of young girls and women, and women in general, takes place so much in even communities where religious leaders are supposed to be like, how will I put it, to have influence. And then we know with their influence they should be able to how will I put it, to be able to educate, and not only educate, be able to have some influence in redirecting the minds of their congregation into seeing the fact that this rape issue should be condemned. And of course, we do not take for granted the fact that this, to fight rape, you must really be able to fight the issue of inequality. That one is important. And I like what the lawyer said, Chikodili, yeah, sorry. So she said something that, although the law is hard, if the law is hard, our own approach will be, let us do go to the grassroots. Let's deal with the traditional leaders. Let's deal with the religious leaders. Let's deal with native doctors and start re-engineering their minds, and to tell them to stop seeing women as objects that they can just use, and for when you keep seeing women as property, that becomes a problem. And then, of course, it's important that even as a country, we need to look at the Constitution, the provision that says that once you are married, you become a woman. When that part, you are of full age, where the definition, I think Section 29(4), I think so, of the Constitution, which says that immediately you become you become of full age once you are married. And so that also is an angle that should be looked into, because a lot of people do things, and when you say you cannot be, when a law in your country, the Child Rights Act, is saying that somebody is not old enough to know what sex is until 18, or should have any sexual intercourse until 18, and then we have a culture that is standing directly inconsistent with your constitution, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And then and then that law is saying that, you can marry anyone you like. And then, of course, you marry 15-year-old, you marry 16-year-old. I know that this issue came up one time in the National Assembly, and then some people were really happy to brag about how many wives they had and all that. So you see the kind of country we have. So we know that this issue of rape is so much a problem, but we need to work with the local communities. We need to work with the religious leaders, the traditional leaders, the native doctors, those people who are custodians of culture and tradition. We need to work with them, and then begin to sensitize them and begin to make them, in fact, make them advocates to end rape. When we can achieve these, I know that, of course, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it will be a gradual step into achieving a good, how will I put it, a good state for Nigeria, where women can feel free, where women can walk on the streets and not be afraid. And there was something that Mr. Emmanuel mentioned earlier, and that thing really hurts me. When I go on the street, I'm driving around 10 p.m., you see young girls on the street. These young girls selling bananas, selling granules. These young girls can be, they are easy targets for people who want to do ritual. Easy targets. All the ritualist has to do is, of course, if you have heard of circumstances, what they do, maybe the white man will call it chloroform, but they do some things, and they can put the child in a dazed state and put the child in the car and drive off. These children are in constant danger, and you see them there. I live in Abuja, and I see this almost all the time when I'm driving back home, and I'm like, no, this is bad. And then they pick these children, and then you see a child is lost. And of course, the way the law works, I don't know how in depth we do investigations, and then we don't hear anything about that story again. Thanks to NGOs and CSOs that come up and then shed a lot of light and start engagements and start making noise before we see that law enforcement are really doing the work they should do in the first place. And then, of course, there was something that I recalled when the barrister was talking. Oh, maybe I will remember later. But all these things that it brought up the inspiration that, okay, let's talk about rape, and then let's talk about these aspects of rape that we need to condemn. For instance, I think in Oshogbo, Oshu State, I think there's a particular festival that, a young virgin must carry the calabash, and then she must go around the village, go around the community, and this is how they celebrate, I think, or something. And imagine that kind of, tradition is going on. Why a young female virgin? Why not somebody? Why must it be that particular tag to to the female gender again? So imagine when you have a particular culture that says that a female virgin is signifies purity. And then, of course, a lot of people want to do spiritual cleansing. They will now tell you, go and get a virgin, and then you'll be cleansed and all that. So these are the issues that we've been trying to put a lot of things into consideration. We've been trying to partner with local communities and then to get statistics so that we can have a database that also supports this aspect of rape that we are talking about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mrs. Anene, do you have any clarifications to make with regards to the legal issues mentioned here?
It's just the name, it's the person that gives the details, the procedure, everything that happened is still the victim. Though the prosecutor now gives the presenter, but every detail, if there's an omission or if there is any mistake from the part of the victim, the prosecutor cannot produce it. And so the case will fail. So, indirectly, that's why the victim always the prosecution's witness number one. So it's still the victim that is directly involved. It's with the details of the incident and the records, because it's the victim that was there when the crime was committed. So she gives up the evidence. Okay, now the law has declared the male folk, so it could be a man or a woman. Now they give up the position of what happened and give details. So it's the more they give that the prosecution will not give, coupled with whatsoever that it creates during the investigation, which may, in cases, come late. That's the problem. Before they answer, because they will require you to show evidence, even of or if it is in the house, there should be a blood stain to show there was violence, and there is also you don't have to take your bed before you go to hospital to take specimen for the investigation, all these things. So if there is anyone that the victim meets, it boils down to be the one to face or bear the burden. So that's why, for me, with the I am seeing is actually victim, that is the principal witness, and the team gives out the evidence, but not to direct to the prosecution. Prosecution will still lead the victim, tell the story and all that. Thank you. So that's just what I need to
Thank you very much for this submission. At this point from now on, we'll be happy to hear from our other guests, apart from our speakers, who would like to make a contribution or who would like to ask a question. So if we can call on Otumba Olabode Osene, please, to either ask a question or to make a comment.
Thank you very much, Dan. I'm very happy to listen to the contributions of the professionals and the people who are taking their time to look into this problem of rape. I'm also very happy to note that Lady Moji talked about the underage that are also being officially taken to be property of pleasure. I'm referring to the, the, some people in the country that will care less about how old 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old girl look like. As far as they are concerned, is an opportunity to have a younger, and I think it's the biggest criminality we are dealing with, because how will you want to say you have the right to marry 11 to 15-year-old girl, and you expect that I mean that should not amount to rape? These are terrible things. But then, having said that, I believe the job of people who are very busy dealing with this problem will not be completed if they don't take into account the problem of poverty and mental issue, because it looks like both of all these things goes together. You will appreciate that for anybody above 2030 struggling to have kind of knowledge, I mean, trying to have sex with somebody below age of 16 or whatever, must be having something that cannot be right with him. I mean, it might be very difficult to prove, but I think I've no doubt in my mind that this is part of the problem. Could be mental issue, and also what is also significant to note is also a problem of poverty. Part of the presentation we had that I think from Lady Moji, talking about at a late hour, or in fact in the evening, we find a large number of young girls hawking, and you won't find Emmanuel, Mr. Emmanuel will agree with me that things like that will never happen in Germany or anywhere else in the civilized clime, where you see young girls, young boys hawking at very ungodly hours. You understand me? And like Lady Muji said, very easy prey. They become very easy to abduct. They become very easy to buy. So poverty is also a substantial part of the problem. So mental issue, poverty, all these are the areas that need to be dealt with. And you also mentioned about the problem of policing, all this kind of thing. I can also understand the frustration of prosecutors. You know, when you have a very loose, very terrible policing policies, that the police, the policies are very, very weak, and they are there designed to support the perpetrators, not the victims. So all these are issues also that I believe need to be dealt with. And finally, again, like I always say, the bringer of all these area of concern has to be government, because again, like Mr. Emmanuel observed, rape is a criminal offense. All criminal offenses all over the world are prosecuted by the state. But where's the state? Is it a government that has no structure? Is it a government that like very, very loose? Is it a government that care little or nothing about the subjects of the country? So it's a multiple area of concern that I believe people who are making efforts to solve this problem need to seriously look into. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Daniel, sorry, could I just make a contribution?
Yes.
I thank
Yes.
Otumba very, very much. He raised salient issues that we have been raising across board since we've started this advocacy. When we say that the country is dysfunctional, these are the things we talk about. Respect for fundamental human rights are not there. The government has lost the monopoly of violence across its territory. The government doesn't even make policies for the welfare and well-being of our own citizens. Okay, so let's take the example of child labor. In Europe, it is a crime for a child to work. It's not allowed. It's forbidden. A child should be a child. A child should be allowed to grow up, to play, and become an adult before this child can start working. But in Nigeria, due to the economic circumstances and due to the cultural evolution of our society, we allow our kids to go to the streets and be exposed to men and women who may mean them harm. And many of these citizens, or many of these kids, come home broken and their lives are destroyed. We have lost so many children about that. And there was a very silly case that somebody told me. My last time in Nigeria, the man said, yeah, that the 14-year-old girl that he slept with wanted it. I was shocked to my bones. I said, now listen to me. You can never sleep with an underage child. You can only rape an underage child, because an underage child is a legal minor. He cannot grant you consent. So, and for you to have sex with somebody, there must be consent. Any other thing without consent is rape. And the child cannot grant you consent to have sex with her. So anybody that sleeps with an underage person is committing rape. But many of our people don't even know this. They feel like because she's 14, she wanted it. I gave her a carton of biscuits and then she allowed me. No, a child cannot allow you. It is a crime. And this man should be prosecuted for such behavior. Another issue, Otumba raised the issue of law enforcement. Well, the police of any society can never be better than that society that produced it. So the Nigerian society produced the Nigerian police. They are the same, we say in Igbo, there's an Igbo adage that says that that means that the goat's head is in the goat's bag. So we produced the society, we produce these policemen. They are our brothers, they are our friends. So it is the same corruption that runs through from the highest level of our government to the lowest echelon that has afflicted the police. So our law enforcement is dysfunctional. That is even why I even pity my sister who told me about the prosecutors, because the cases are most of the times tainted and corrupted before the cases come to court. Majority of rape cases in Nigeria are not even reported to the police because people don't even have faith in the police. People try to settle it as much as they can, and people try to keep quiet. Hey, if the girl talks, she will bring shame to the family. If the girl opens her mouth to say that she is
Exactly.
raped, the family dignity will go. But this child is a victim. So these are so Moji, my sister, when we are working in trying to sensitize the people, we should try to work in sensitizing families to know that a crime has been committed against the child. The child is not the perpetrator of the act. The child is a victim. So, and this victim should be allowed to speak out so that we can find justice and they could find closure for themselves. These are important. Otherwise, this is why, most times we see many Nigerians who think that Nigerians are very angry people. Why are we angry? Because we are traumatized at various levels. Okay? We are raped at the government rapes us generally, metaphorically speaking. The churches go there and then they squeeze us of the little money that we don't have. And they make noise that we cannot even think and be creative in a society. So, and our kids are exposed to dangers every day on the streets. Parents are I even pity parents in Nigeria. To be honest with you, I say to myself, I will never have a kid in Nigeria. What am I going to offer that kid? Because that society has made it so very difficult for somebody to have a dignified life. I praise Nigerians. They are strong people. Anybody that died in Nigeria and go to hell should tell God to give him a reprieve because he has served his time in hell.
That's taking it at a very, very high level.
That's our country.
But I think Emmanuel is right. When you look at what an average Nigerian has to go through, it is unbelievable. An average Nigerian is deprived of virtually everything in this world. Everything. I live in Germany for 10.5 years. I went to university and I speak the language very well. And I can tell you, 50 years ago, when I first arrived in Germany, that's where my attitude to life and everything changed, because I just look at it and say, oh, I was coming from a place that I cannot describe to any human being. So Emmanuel is right that you just tell me what as a Nigerian can show for being in Nigeria, apart from the handful children of the rich ones, or those who succeeded in stealing the money and they're buying all the peaceful they believe is they can enjoy. So Nigerians really are in hell.
But if we start going into that area, my brother, we will stay here till tomorrow morning.
And just quickly, sir, just 1 second before
yes.
I forget to add. Also, we also need to be looking at the area of the raping the male. Also, male are easily raped in the north and some other part of the country also, and they gone unnoticed, they gone unreported, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
We thank you very much. Chikodili, please. There is one issue that Emmanuel also raised, or was it Moji that raised the issue? In the UK, for instance, the sleeping with a minor is an offense of strict liability. That is, once you have slept with a minor, there are no defenses, there is no attenuating circumstances, there is nothing you can say that, okay, this is what made me do this. What is the situation of the law in Nigeria with regards to sleeping with a minor?
Okay. Let me talk with the few for African in Nigeria. The slave system, section 2 of penal would make an offense with a girl that is under 14 years of age or of unsound mind. It is there in the law, and that's what saying implementation. Says that in about the penal code. So it's pretty full across board. So we have similar law in our own system.
Okay, well, all right. Now I think it's okay. I think it's.
I know that our network wasn't that clear.
Yes.
But you know, as I mentioned earlier, I said if the constitution of the country is saying that someone becomes of full age once a woman becomes of full age once she's married, it means that the law has given them a leverage, or should I say an opportunity for other for anybody to say that, oh, I married a 14-year-old, so that 14-year-old is automatically of full age because she's married, despite the fact that we have the Child Rights Act. And of course, we should also note that most states in the north have not domesticated the Child Rights Act. They won't do that because now it becomes a problem for them, because as it is said, okay, let me come from this angle. In Nigeria alone, we have four legal systems, let me put it that way, that are, that operates side by side. Now we have the culture, we have the norms and traditions, then we have the statutes, we have the English common law. Now, and then of course, then we have the what they call it, English common law, culture, and I think yes, Sharia is in culture. Then we have the usual ones in the statute. Now, imagine this country that has all these legal systems working at side by side, and then because the constitution has said, oh, no religion is above another religion, everybody has the quality of religion, and then your constitution has even allowed and even has even given us has given, how will I put it, has backed up the Sharia law. The Sharia law also is allowed under the constitution. It is allowed. They are there. They are just operating side by side. Not that you can now, of course, the constitution will tell you that anything that is inconsistent with it.
Yeah, the consistency clause. Yeah.
Yes, it will say that. But how do you manage the provision of that section 29(4) that says that once a woman is married, she's of age? And then, of course, that word woman, you can say you want to play around it and say that, oh, it is woman that was said. But of course, we know that you can't be of full age unless you are 18 years. So you see that the constitution already has created that inconsistency, and it is very clear. It is not a confusing word that was used in the provision. It was very clear for anybody to understand. So now, what major issue that I see right now is that we have a National Assembly where women are underrepresented. Now, we have given men the opportunity to always make laws for women. Now, women will go through the main issues, the main discriminations, the main problems, are not even properly represented, even in the National Assembly. And then that also becomes a problem, because when laws are being made, when laws are being reviewed, we will not be able to insert the proper things that should be inserted at the right time. For instance, we have had the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill that was presented before the National Assembly. That particular legislation would have really put women on, women not be able to implement immediately to get that equality immediately, but it would have put it would have put our Nigerian women on that pedestal, because that law really addressed a lot of issues. But by the time they got to the committee stage, I can tell you that law was watered down from the information we got. And then we got to the committee stage, we're supposed to meet at the public hearing, and then all of a sudden, our lawmakers didn't show up for the public hearing for what they are being paid for. They did not show up, and they were supposed to talk about this, and never. So that just died a natural death with that particular Senate. And do you understand? And so it's really going to be, it's really a big issue. And of course, I believe so much that we have to start from the families, the grassroots. And so that's why we really are advocating from the grassroots.
We will go into the solutions. Sorry, 1 second. We will soon go into the solution. Will be the last segment of this discussion. But before then, I noticed that Ariyo has joined us.
Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, apart from the fact that I had a spillover meeting, then I've been having network issue, but now I think I'm in.
Yes. Are you able to make a contribution now? Are you able, first of all, to start your video and then to make a contribution? Or are you all right with speaking without video?
Okay. Let me just. I will speak with a video temporarily. Okay. I have some. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm coming. I'm going to put my video on now.
Right. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good day. We can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I think I've listened to the passionate comment from everyone, and I want to say that indeed we're in a very troubled time, and nothing really paid me more than the expression of the love of.
Right. We have a comment made on the chat by Jennifer. I think let's give her the opportunity to speak. Jennifer, please. Are you able to unmute yourself and make a
Yes,
comment?
I have done that.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. This rape issue has taken a very bad turn in Nigeria. I can say to you, presently, we are involved in a particular scenario. You know, the topic says women and girls, but in a particular situation in a community in Abia State where my organization is working with, we have a situation where a boy of 6 was sexually molested by a girl of about 24, and she gave him venereal diseases. And when the parents observed the guy, he was always itchy and all that, they took him to hospital and they found that, and they pressurized him, and he said he was antisocial and so. Now we got involved, wanted to get the office of the wife of the governor of the state involved, but the police were very hostile to us because I am in the FCT and my people are in the southeast, so they were like, "Madam, you couldn't do anything," from parents. And some of the early talk about parents at home talking to our boy child and daughter. It's not just the girls that should be taught. The male children should also be told that it is wrong. If a girl says no, it is no. One mistake I observed we make is that we shy away from realities. In Africa, in Nigeria, we want to pretend that our children do not know all these things. Everyone should give their children sex talk. These children have access to the internet. They see things you don't even see. They know things you don't even know. So I'm thinking, and I'm also the parent. Then in our communities, the Indians, for instance, in the southeast where you have Indians, I'm thinking because we're trying to do something on work against rape, where the Indians they would have a public complaint box where people can actually come, because the challenge with this issue is that you are so stigmatized and you are put to shame instead of the victim to be the one that should be decided. The other party, what did you go there to do? You will go. I remember growing up in my community, they had some boys that are called ecomog. And that ecomog is that when a girl goes there, they rape the girl. It's common knowledge, and the girl cannot even talk. Because everyone blames you what you go there to do. So there's an opportunity to, allow these people to say what has happened, what is happening, without trying to shut them down or making them feel that they are evil or that they are sinful. Then also the National Orientation Agency, Ministry of Health, NAFTA, psychiatrists, youth leaders, but especially the police, so that when the people come to complain about those things, we know what is happening in Nigeria. Bribery and corruption, everything. So you settle and you move on. Or they will even tell you the parents of they say settle the parents of the child. And then the child, that is the end for the child. You don't consider the emotional trauma, you don't consider the psychological trauma. The child grows up to accept that rape is a normal thing. So that would be my contribution to this. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. We thank you very much. Now, the next thing is we have heard about the problems. We have seen the menace it constitutes to the society. We have seen the pain and the trauma it causes to the victims. Now, the next thing will be to discuss about the solution. And to kick off this last segment of this discussion before we call it a day, let's listen to Moji first. Moji, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. Yes,
So
I am.
what is the solution to the issue of rape pandemic in Nigeria?
That's what I was how will I put it? I've already started talking about. So from our own perspective, like myself and Mr. Ariyo of Adopt a Go, the perspective is we are going to the local communities, to the traditional rulers, to the religious leaders, native doctors, if we can have these conversations around this issue from this particular aspect. You know, it would have been awesome for us to take all the aspects of rape, but we will now be looking at this particular aspect and then find a way to partner with them to find a solution. And one of the things that we plan on is that making them ambassadors, so that when they are the ones that are really coming out to condemn this rape, you know, it would also help the society. And of course, we intend to create a particular accountable system in these local communities as we go along, so that whenever there's an issue that has to do with rape, it's easy. The community themselves are the ones that will come out and fight fight for, for justice. We're not talking of jungle justice this way. We're talking of reporting system that will be established, and that so people can go straight to the community heads and have this, nipped in the bud, or reported to the appropriate agency, such as NAPTIP and then the police. Of course, we'd rather that most cases, whenever it comes on rape, be reported to NAPTIP, and then from them NAPTIP, takes on the fight. And of course, I know of issues where, one or two cases that have come to my attention on the issue of young boys that are being raped. And it's very sad when you hear things like this. In fact, why this ritual thing should be of concern to us is that this particular boy that I heard about, a six thereabout-year-old boy, after he had been raped, they took the boy to the hospital, and there was, for several days, they started having maggots coming out from the boy's anus. Just maggots coming out, nothing else. Even when they clean, even when the hospital kept cleaning, maggots kept coming out. So please, this of course is a very strange circumstance that of course should the doctors even became afraid at some point, because there's no medical research that tells you that maggots start coming out from someone's anus. They evacuate and then it's still there. This is a 6-year-old boy that had to go through this kind of trauma at that particular age. So we will now be engaging these local communities, religious leaders, and I think we are going to be doing a lot of aggressive campaign and advocacy around it. And probably maybe it's high time for Nigeria to start looking at the part that traditional medicine plays in the country, or plays even in the cultural beliefs and the narratives against women and girls and children in general. And so these are the things that we are also working on. And of course, we will not stop our pressure on government, pressure on the lawmakers, pressure, those are the things that can still be done. Advocacy, more advocacy. There can't be a limit to advocacy. And so, when we keep talking and shouting and making so much noise about this, I pray that we will be able to continue to engage the attention of the government itself. And I don't know if you have seen recently the new set of laws or provisions that were being inserted into other laws that you would not have even thought about it, that they should be there. For instance, the new Company and Allied Matters Act, and then they deliberately included something to regulate NGOs. That should not be the focus of government. Government should be grateful to the CSO and the NGOs that have helped this country. They have helped to balance situations. They have helped to really make situations better for Nigerians. The government itself has not helped us. The government has not provided for people, but NGOs are really doing a lot. NGOs are really coming out and, they give themselves, they give provisions, materials, money, financial, they do all this, and then the government still wants to shut down the civil society organizations. So everybody needs to be on board on this, to continue to clamor and call for government to actually support and even create the room for NGOs to continue to be the check. We need that check and balance. When it is there, then maybe we can make good laws or review our laws to be able to help our women and girls and boys in general.
We thank you very much. We move on to Chika, please. What would you think we have to do as part of the solutions to the issue of rape pandemic in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you. Moji has said some of them, which is very crucial. But I just want to observe also that it's not as much as the preventive measures. There's so need to bring corrective measures and regulation and reassurances to build confidence in the victims. Now I'm looking as regards the victims now because we're concentrating on the offender or the rapist. We also need to especially as regards the little children because it's now the increase in their side. As regards the young teens, that can assess themselves, because there is more the part of victim to corroborate. These people are so vulnerable that they don't express themselves. Most times, nobody even knew, except they start exhibiting systematic and psychological behaviors. Begin to wonder and begin to investigate us by that time to be late. So they should also into consideration what to do for them. I think it's very proper or very required that apart from the government, the individuals also should come into the situation. Sometime at least last month that Minister of Women Affairs made announcement that start collaborating with people beyond Nigeria in the sub-region and beyond Africa to see how it would help to intervene in this area. So it's an encouraged use, and I would encourage. That also made me to in a bit of all these things. We on the part, we lawyers they have been of discussing this many public issue. It's also good. Because you wouldn't say it's over precise. It's something that to get attention is exactly like someone downs to solution, like it will enter into the subconsciousness of the society or even government. Okay, or part we are trying to get NGO is the make that is into rehabilitation of victims, trying to reassure them because they need to live a normal life. Because if you go down to the piece of rape, some are sadistic in of some are of vengeful rape where they want to revenge what you done to them. But if they are fully rehabilitated or reassured, it will go to their side that evil and such should not go on. I know that rape, if the issue of gang rape, to show our there's so much. So if we look to this, also consider the victim. When they fail the rapist point, the victim also should take care of. So with that, in the course of that counseling or that, it also to reduce the increase because when it's reassured, it's tried to that is not actually a problem of society, that is individual problem. You'll be able to take direction and move towards the right path. Then also find mention has been made of government. I talked about that there. Israel should be relaxed as regard vulnerable sex because of the circumstances around that. Okay, and also I think line that includes general hospitals now and private hospitals also good, but it should also be to include any medical center around tech because you have some areas where you don't hospital at all. And the time they to the place where the hospital is late. That should be put in a self-loading or curb this issue or this menace of rape. Thank you.
We thank you very much for your submission. Ariyo is back now. Before we go to Emmanuel for his suggestions as to the solutions, let's hear Ariyo, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know at the solution stage, all well and said. I would just want to make a simple contribution. Moji has said most important aspect of what we intend to do, but there is another aspect I think we now need to put into consideration as a people is that mainstreaming all of this into things to be considered when we're selecting leadership. When election comes, gender advocates, people who are concerned about violence against women and children must get involved, must ensure that we have all of this on the ballot. Leadership is very important and very strategic to fighting this problem and addressing them. We don't have a president who understands the implications of what we are discussing. They will not be able to put in place enduring policies and actions that can actually help us to get rid of these. If we don't have leadership, that is in sync with what the non and CSOs are doing, they will be looking for how to stifle, the NGOs, just like they've attempted to do, or they've been doing, including the recently passed the KAMA Act. So basically what this tells us is that we have to be all well and doing, including also at the subnationals. You realize that there are governors who are concerned more than each other. If you go to some states, they are taking this issue of rape very seriously. Some states are less concerned. Well, at the national level, it's also very important in terms of the kind of leader you have as a president, so that we're able to mainstream all of this into governance. It's very strategic. Rape is a pandemic, and it must be addressed, beyond even the way we are currently addressing COVID-19. It must be an all-encompassing thing that all of us must get involved. The aspect of rape for ritual, which is not receiving global attention, I believe that with a platform like Elombah, we'll be able to probably talk more about this, because we believe that look, this needs a lot of both international and also national attention for us to be able to address this problem, and because it's a serious one. A lot of families are in pains, at the community level, at the lower level. They don't know who to go to. These things are happening every day. People are being destroyed, lives are being destroyed. So I believe that all of us must get involved and must be involved, in tackling this problem. Politically speaking, economically speaking, we just have to continue to push for it. And we must also go beyond the talk shop. We must put into action, including what we can also do as CSOs, including reaching out to these communities. If it is one person, two persons, 5, 10, that we can help address this. So what that means is that by the time we are asking for money, we're able to get donor funds or support here or private money. We must also look for families to directly touch one way or the other who are also suffering from this problem. It's not just only the government. Government may be, a responsible government may be able to take care of 150, CSO, NGO may not be able to take care of more than 2, 3, or 5. I believe that by the time we are doing all this, we're able to solve some problems. And by the time it's also become, a collective fight, I believe that we're able to chase these monsters out of our society. It's something that we just have to fight headlong. And finally speaking, if we don't address the incident of rape today, your wife, my wife, your sisters, my sister, your daughter, my daughter, our women, our girls, our boys will not be saved. We will not be saved in our society. That's what people don't understand, that a problem left unaddressed, becomes a problem that is haunting everyone. Everybody will become a victim of a problem left, unsolved or unresolved. So that is why I believe that it's an opportunity again to rekindle, our commitment in addressing this monster, which is now a pandemic, bigger than even COVID, which is destroying lives, almost on a daily basis. So the people yearning for, attention, people are crying for help, and I believe that we'll be able to reach, those people and also be able to address their concerns. So please, when we're talking about leadership, and let me thank my brother, Mr. Daniel. Anytime you are hosting some of these leaders, please always help us to build this content into it. What are you doing about rape? What are you doing about violence against girls and women? Anytime you are meeting some of these politicians on your platform, you are interviewing them, you must ask them, please build it into the content of your question. What have you done in the last 1 year? What are you going to do about it? Because again, gradually, the clock is ticking. Election will come again. Some of them will be looking for a platform, to speak, to address, and your platform is big enough, to be able to also address this concern. So we must get leaders who are really committed to to this concern. And I believe that it's not beyond what we can actually address if we have serious leadership. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Well, yes, I thank you very much for this, especially with the area of asking our leaders. At least two women commissioners are supposed to be on this forum, but unfortunately, both of them had some emergencies that came up, so they weren't able. This will not be the end of this discussion. We'll still have another rape discussion, and then we'll try to have even the Minister of Women Affairs to speak on this. Franklin, please.
Well,
you have had the problems you're having with regards to these affairs in Nigeria. With your global outlook, with your activities in this area of rape and your organizations, what do you think should we be looking at with regards to solutions?
Well, thank you, Daniel. The most important problem we have in regards to Nigeria and many social issues is the lack of data. So when people say that rape is becoming a pandemic in Nigeria and you ask them for raw data, we don't have them. So nobody can tell you how many people are raped in the last year in Nigeria. The police don't have this data. The National Federal Statistics Office doesn't have this data. The NGOs don't actually have this data. And how can you make policies when you don't have data that support those work? So that's one major problem where I will urge the NGOs to start gathering data in this regard. It's pretty important, because even if you're approaching an organization like mine and asking us to finance or fund an anti-rape project, we will ask you for data. So data is pretty important. And that's why this is where we need to start our reorientation as a people. One of my major solutions to this problem, rape is a very complex and complicated issue across board. So you cannot find simple solutions to complex problems. We really need to come from a multiplicity of perspectives to be able to tackle rape as a problem, both in Nigeria and across the African society. But one basic fact is, every rapist comes from a family. He was born in a family. A family trained him. A family groomed him. A family brought him up. So the basic cell of our solutions must go back to the families. We have to sensitize the families. The families have to change, actually, the way kids are being brought up in our social milieu. So, for example, there is this cultural thing that doesn't allow kids to talk in Nigeria. There is a philosophy, even in Igbo language, that says if a child asks a question, the parents will ask the child, if you are asking too much, so what are you going to do with all? So in Europe, when I got to Germany, one basic thing I learned about this society is that a little child will suffuse you with questions about everything. And any answer you give will be, you'll get a repost of warum. Warum means why. A child will keep on asking you. So Germans encourage their kids to ask questions. And this encourages the kids to talk. So when a kid is being abused, you will notice it early. The kid will tell you, this auntie there did this to me and that. But in Nigerian families, you don't get much of that. So our families should equally change their orientation and allow kids to express themselves and become kids. Kids are our tomorrow. If we don't safeguard the future of our kids, we will lose our society entirely. That's one. Changing the way we bring up our kids. We have to allow kids more freedom to become kids, to ask questions. Kids are naturally curious, so we shouldn't stifle this curiosity in Nigerian kids. Nigerian kids don't ask questions. I have noticed that often. They will be looking at you because in the families they were shut down. Don't ask. Don't make noise. Auntie is here. Don't make noise. Brother is here. Oh, shut up. We are praying. You don't tell kids to shut up. They are curious. They want to know what the world is all about. So we should allow them. Second point, education. We should change our educational curriculum. We beat up our kids from nursery school to even some universities in Nigeria. Flog people. So we should abolish corporal punishment. In Europe, if you smack a kid, you will go to jail. In fact, the kids will be taken away from you because that doesn't allow the kids to express themselves and tell us what is happening to them. That is what I experienced in Nigeria. So we should change our educational curriculum. What the British gave us is a piece of trash. I'm sorry to say this. That's not education. Where you flog people, they were flogging us because they believed that they were better than we are. We were their slaves when they came here. And we adopted that. and believe that corporal punishment is the way to go to educate people. No, you dialogue. Anybody who applies force to get his opinion across has already lost. So we have to change our educational curriculum, family education, and we have to change every agent of socialization, the media. What do the kids watch? How are our minds formed? Look at Nollywood. The only thing it teaches people is how to make rituals, how you could make money by doing nothing. So this is equally a place where we need to go. Talk to these actors. What are you teaching people? That's a very wrong philosophy. Germany didn't become great by money rituals. Germany became great because most of the greatest philosophers on earth originated from here. They are a thinking people. We should start thinking as a people. Without thinking, our society will desiccate and we are not going anywhere. Money rituals is as stupid as anything, because those that, if anybody could make money rituals, Europe and America will be making money without working. So it's a very stupid superstition that our people are still locked up in, and they are using it to inflict damage and trauma on poor people. So education is pretty important. Social, all agents of socialization, the family, and again, policing. We need to establish an anti-rape hotline in Nigeria, where people could just call in and their anonymity will be respected and they could report what is happening to them. We don't have that. This is where law enforcement comes in. Not only, because most of the rapes in Nigeria are underreported. If you go to the north of Nigeria, underage kids are being married off to old men, and that is rape too. But nobody talks about that because we will be infringing on their so-called religious freedom. That's not religious freedom. That's an abuse of other people's rights, our children's rights. So, and when we say that we don't call global attention is not being called to rape for rituals, well, it's a Nigerian phenomenon, I have to tell you, because we have not heard about that in other areas of the world. So it may not receive global attention. What it urgently requires is a local attention, because people believe that this money rituals of a thing is a pure superstitious thing, and that's what it is. So that we have to start seeking local solutions to local problems. This is our thing, and we have to do it like our thing. We have to find our own solutions to these problems before we can call on the rest of the world to help us. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Franklin. We've had loads of submissions as to what the solution will be. My question will be finally in the area of the solution. I think we had Ariyo talk about funding civil society organizations' activities in Nigeria. Nigeria is a place where NGO gets zero contribution. In fact, they will try to stifle you. Whereas my idea here is that if you have a charity, government has their lottery system is worth billions of pounds every year. And then once you have a charity or NGO, you will write a proposal to this the National Lottery Fund, and you have money to carry out your activities. But in Nigeria, I think it's difficult. Is there any advice you will give, Franklin, with regards to Nigerian civil society organizations assessing funding from international organizations for their activities?
Yes, of course. I want every Nigerian out there to know that there is funds for anything under the sun that you want to do. There are a lot of organizations that are ready to fund initiatives. But most of the problems, like I said, our people came with proposals that lack data, and then they get rejected. The European Union, if you go to their website, you will see they have millions of euros mapped out for projects in Africa every year. So they could be assessed. We have many foundations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They are doing a lot of projects in Africa, and you could assess funds. There are many, many others that I could list. In fact, there is a book that is published every year in Europe that lists foundations that support initiatives across Africa. Even the internet is a resource that could be used. If you Google foundations that support initiatives in Africa, you will see millions of them, depending on in the area you're working on. We have child's rights, women's rights. And I want you to know that women's and child's issues always attract funding from major donors. So the United Nations too. So, and if you don't know what to do, send me your proposal and we can look at them and we can find our partners that are working in that area. And then we can see what we can do. Daniel, the one you sent me is still on the works. So we are still looking at it. And then we will get in touch as soon as, the COVID and every other thing that is happening in the world today. We are, many major organizations are working not on full capacity. So once this problem is remedied, we could get back to you with enough answers that will maybe satisfy are the issues you care very much about. So there are funds out there. We can assess them if we are able to do our due diligence and produce excellent proposals. There are funders that are ready to help in tackling these issues across the globe, and Nigeria is no exception.
We thank you very much, Franklin, for making our time to be with us. I don't know what the time is in Germany, but I think
It's 6:33.
Okay, okay, 6:33. Okay, here is 5. Okay, we also thank people who our guests from Nigeria, despite the network challenges and even the life challenges. So we thank you very much for joining. Otumba, please, I think you still want to make a very brief contribution before we round it off. Otumba, please.
Okay, all right.
Just very less than 1 minute.
Just a quick one.
Yes.
I want to appreciate everybody. The Honorable Franklin Emmanuel, he said it all. All his wishes, his dreams, his aspirations, and so on and so forth are well funded. I mean, that's how a normal civilized country should operate. But do not forget that we still have a long way to go. 95% of his requests, I'm not going to use the word in mind, can only be governed from good governance, from government that is well established, the government that's ready to serve the people, not the government of it has to be me, and I. And the more connection you have, the better for you to be in a country like Nigeria. All these, some of the problems we are facing are not supposed to be. It's just because we are yet to establish a country of rule of law, where things a country of laws, not country of men. That are also are big issues that are facing us. And I just hope, as time goes on, we're going to find solution to this. But as we speak, the hope of Emmanuel getting most of what he wants done, because I've been on it since 50 years ago. I was a student, something as well, and it has always been the same thing. So, well, hopefully, Daniel, next time we meet again, we are going to continue the discussion about the fundamental foundation of doing things, because once we have a good governance, once we have rule of law in place, most of these things will just fall in place. So we will not be, we will still continue to work, but it won't be as difficult as it is. Thank you.
We thank you. We thank you very much, Tumba, for being with us again tonight. You've been a regular contributor to our program, so we appreciate your coming. We thank you, Franklin Emmanuel, for joining us from Germany.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, Moji, we thank you very much. And we ask you to, despite all the challenges, to continue with your field work and look, especially as Emmanuel will have said, on the area of data. Thank you, Chikodili, from joining us for your law office in Abuja. And Ariyo, thank you very much, despite the challenges you had initially, to finally be able to make contributions. We have a lot of questions from people on this area, and we hope we'll keep this conversation going as time goes on, even on the social media, and those who have been contacting me privately with regards to some of these questions. Hopefully, I will be able to say something on those questions being asked, and maybe have another forum like this to continue this discussion. Thank you all. Hopefully, next time we will be having this discussion, we hope to get someone from the government side to hear especially what you are saying. Thank you all once again. I really, really appreciate your coming and making these contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Platform. Thank you.